For my second case presentation, I am doing South Gibson School Board versus Solman. This is a case that covers student rights and school disciplinary authority. I'll get started with going over the facts of the case. Um, in December, on December 17th, 1998, Trent Sollman, who is a high school student at Gibson Southern High School, was involved in an incident that led to a disciplinary action by the school board. On December 17th, two sheriff's deputies were accompanied by a marijuana sniffing dog, and they were in the parking lot of the high school. At that time, the dog alerted the authorities to a hit where they called Trent out of class, had him open his vehicle, which was on the school lot, and in the glove box, they found a small amount of marijuana at that time. Um, During that time, the school district had a zero tolerance drug policy for all students that was communicated, and as a result, Trent's principal put him up for suspension, but also recommended him for longer term expulsion. In addition to that, he was in his junior year of high school, and with only 3 days left of that first semester, where he was not allowed and did not submit any work. So he was not only expelled, but he was also denied credit for all of that coursework that up until that point, it was right before exams. Um, as a result, Solomon and his parents filed a lawsuit against the school district, arguing that the search violated his Fourth Amendment rights and that the punishment was harsh based on the circumstances. So, in this situation, there are a few legal issues that this case presents. One of them is, can schools conduct search and seizures of students, and under what circumstances? And then, what are the what are schools' authority with disciplinary actions and the due process rights for students? The decision for this case was ruled in favor of the South Gibson School Board. It did go through a few other courts and appeal processes, but they held that the search was reasonable under the Fourth Amendment and that the suspension was justified and an appropriate disciplinary action under the school's zero tolerance policy. However, there was additional information I found in my research that um, they did address in the lower courts when they would, after he was put up for expulsion, that it was excessive in not allowing him to garner credit for the time frame. So, although the suspension and the due process due to that was there, they did kind of have some issues with how they had handled the academic piece. So the reasoning and the rationale behind that decision was it a reasonable search? They pulled from New Jersey versus TLO, and the alert from the dog provided reasonable suspicion, and the search was limited to areas where drugs could be concealed, making it reasonable in scope. Um, they had a clear policy. The school zero tolerance policy was clear and enforceable rule designed for student safety, and the presence of drugs on campus, no matter the intent, violated that policy. The reasonable sanction, the school sanction of the original 10-day suspension was determined to be appropriate. They did again make some differences with regards to the academic piece of it in in lower court. There were no separate opinions. It was unanimous. Um, this decision highlights the importance of due process protection for students facing significant disciplinary actions such as expulsion or suspensions, like long term suspensions, and it reinforced the need for schools to develop and adhere to clear, fair, and consistent disciplinary procedures, and making sure that they effectively communicate those policies both to students and parents so that they are aware of their rights and the consequences. How this applies in education, it really demonstrates again the significance of students' rights and school disciplinary action, and just how that communication is critical to ensure the due process for all students. So, things that we can be considered is just that communication, what it looks like, how clear it is, equitable disciplinary action, making sure that schools maybe should consider the context and the extent behind policy like zero tolerance policies to ensure that they're fair and the disciplinary actions kind of align with that. And then reasonable suspicion with regards to that and searches in particular, just making sure that they're not random or discriminatory in nature, so that they can assure students' rights are not violated and that the searches are conducted properly. In summary, this was a significant case because it just shows the importance of balancing the need to maintain discipline within our schools, and the need to respect and protect students' rights. This case influenced how schools develop and implement disciplinary policies, and again, emphasizing the need for clear, fair, and consistent procedures amongst the student population, and it serves as a reference point for other cases involving student discipline.